All right, so from today, let us begin TypeScript programming. So as part of today's session, we will see what is TypeScript and we'll discuss some basic important points about TypeScript. And after that, we'll see how we can set up the environment. So what are the things which we have to install to create our TypeScript code and how we can execute the TypeScript. So we'll see all these things step by step. So first, let us start with TypeScript introduction part. Just a moment. Yeah. So in the last class, in the demo session, we have discussed a little bit about TypeScript. So what is basically TypeScript? TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. And what exactly the TypeScript is? It's a superset of JavaScript, means it's nothing but whatever the things are there in the JavaScript or whatever features are available in JavaScript, the same features are also there in TypeScript, but in addition, there are some extra features are available in TypeScript. Like we have an arrow function, generics, and different data types. So there are extra things which we have in the TypeScript, and TypeScript is basically from Microsoft. Okay, TypeScript is basically from Microsoft. It is an independent software. So whatever the features are there in JavaScript, all the features are also exist in TypeScript. It is a superset of JavaScript. So it compiles into regular JavaScript. So it runs anywhere JavaScript does. What does it mean? Just a moment. Is my voice clear to everyone? Can you please confirm in the chat box, other people? Is my voice clear? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so TypeScript is a superset of a JavaScript. So, but compilation part, so how we can compile it? So it compiles or convert into JavaScript. So it runs anywhere the JavaScript does. So normally whenever you write a TypeScript code, right? So we don't directly compile or we don't directly run TypeScript. So first we'll convert the TypeScript into again JavaScript, and then we can run the JavaScript. So even though it is a superset of JavaScript, initially we will run the TypeScript. We will write the code in the TypeScript and we will compile the TypeScript, and after compilation, it will convert into JavaScript. So basically, whenever you write a TypeScript code, the file extension will be .ts. Okay, and after converting or after compiling the TypeScript code, you will get a JavaScript code. So the file name extension is .js. So once you get a JavaScript or .js code, you can just execute the JavaScript on Node.js environment or anywhere. So this is an important point. So we will write the code in the TypeScript. After that, we will compile the TypeScript. After compilation, it will generate JavaScript. Then we will run the JavaScript. So that is a process. But instead of compiling, we can also directly run the TypeScript. So there is certain commands are there. So we will discuss that. But at the initial stage, we will try to understand how we can compile the TypeScript and how it is generating the JavaScript, and then we can run the JavaScript. We don't run JavaScript. We don't directly run the TypeScript at the beginning stage. Later, I'll show you how we can run. Okay. So TypeScript is basically superset of JavaScript from Microsoft. And when I write a TypeScript code, we need to first compile it. So after compilation, it will generate JavaScript file, which is .js file. And then we can run .js file using node component or node command. Okay, we'll see practically. Then how exactly TypeScript works? As I said, first we will write the code in TypeScript using .ts extension. So whichever code you have written in TypeScript, we will save that file with the .ts extension. After that, the TypeScript compiler converts into JavaScript file. So once you write a TypeScript code, we will compile it, which will generate .js file, which is basically JavaScript file like this. TypeScript is a code which TypeScript compiler will convert it and will generate the JavaScript. So once it is converted into JavaScript, then we can run the JavaScript using node component. So this is how exactly TypeScript works. And even without compiling or without converting JavaScript, also we can directly execute TypeScript. So there is a way to execute directly TypeScript. We will follow that approach later. But in the initial stage, just try to understand whatever the TypeScript we have created. First, we need to compile it using TypeScript compiler. And once it is converted into JavaScript, we can execute this JavaScript using Node.js component or node command. This is how exactly TypeScript works. Right? If I compare this TypeScript and JavaScript again, JavaScript code, whatever JavaScript code we have written, it will work on TypeScript also, because TypeScript is superset of JavaScript. There is no much difference, as I said beginning. But TypeScript just adds some optional or additional features like data types, arrow functions, generic, some collection, some additional type of collections, and complete object oriented features they have additionally added into the TypeScript. Okay. So why we need to go with the TypeScript? Because it will helps the catches, it helps catch mistakes early. So when I go to JavaScript, normally what happens in the JavaScript, we do not have any types actually. It is dynamically typed programming language. What does it mean? Without having any data type, we can still create a variables, and whatever data we assign into the variable, so that variable, suppose if we assign some number into the variable, let's say x is equal to some 20, then x is treated as a number. So that is dynamically typed programming language. And because of that, what is a problem in the JavaScript? For example, let's say some x equal to 20 I have stored. This is a simple syntax in JavaScript. Let's say where x equal to 20. So here we haven't specified any data type. But in JavaScript, what will happen later if you want to change the value of the x, or if you want to redeclare the value of x, you can do it. Let's say where x equal to John. So you can store any value like this. Initially, x is a number. JavaScript treated x is a number, but later on x is treated as a string. So this is called dynamically typed programming language. So JavaScript is an example. So in this, there is a problem actually. So what is the problem? There is no type safety. So what is a type safety? What is a type safety? Anybody is having any idea? What is type safety, which is important terminology which we need to understand in TypeScript. So in JavaScript, whatever variable we created and assign some data, later on, we can still change the data also. Not only that, we can change the data. So initially x is a number because the value which we have stored in x is number. Later the x is becomes a string. Why? Because we stored string into x. So do we have a type safety here or not? In this context, do we have a type safety or not? No, there is no type safety. Why? Because we are able to change the data also. So as soon as you put string into x, it should not throw some error, right? So it won't throw any error in JavaScript because it's a dynamically typed language. When you come to the TypeScript, what will happen if you just say x equal to 20 in TypeScript, for example? Then again, first of all, redeclaration is not allowed. When I say where x equal to, when I say where x and where x two times, it is not allowed first. When I create where x one more time, TypeScript will give you an error because this variable is already declared and assigned some data. So again, if you try to enter some value here in TypeScript, then it will throw an error. Why? Because it is statically typed language. It is not possible to change the value of the variable once it is declared. Type in the type wise I'm talking about. Okay, suppose here x equal to 20. So x is decided as a number. After that, we are trying to store a string. So that is not allowed. So this is type safety. So JavaScript is not a type safety, whereas TypeScript is a type safety. Why? Because it provided strictly applied data types into variables. Okay, so this is a major difference between JavaScript and TypeScript. So because of this type safety, we can easily identify the errors at the compile time itself, not at the runtime. But when you create a JavaScript code, whenever you run the code at the runtime only, you can identify the errors. At the time of writing the code, at the time of compilation, you cannot identify the issues in your JavaScript code. Only at the runtime you can identify. But when you come to the TypeScript, at the time of writing the code, at the time of compilation itself, you can identify the issues. So that is a major difference between JavaScript and TypeScript. So that is the reason we always prefer to use TypeScript with the Playwright. Most of the people, even JavaScript is also works, nothing wrong in that. But if you want to add some type safety, and if you want to maintain the project well, and if you want to find the defects as early as possible in our automation, then go for TypeScript code. Okay, so the variables, declaration, data types, we will discuss in detail in the coming sessions. I just give a simple example. Okay, what is the difference in the type perspective, data type perspective? What is the difference between JavaScript and TypeScript? Okay. Yes. So suppose, for example, let's say var x equal to, let's say, 30. And in the same variable, x is equal to 40 you can put. Why? Because earlier x is a number. Here it is also number. So same data you can assign. This is called assignment, not declaration. Okay. So if I look at here, var is not necessary then, because var x we already declare. There are two things: declaration, assignment. So once you declare the variable, you no need to declare again, but you can change the value. Okay, this process is still there in TypeScript, right? So now let us move on. So TypeScript is basically what? It is a superset of JavaScript. And whenever you write a code in TypeScript, we will save that file as .ts extension. And once you create a script, we will compile into JavaScript. And once the JavaScript file is generated, then we will execute the JavaScript using node component. Okay. So these are the basic understanding of TypeScript. So later we will go and discuss all the variables, data types, and there are so many concepts are there. We will see that. Now, let us see how we can set up the TypeScript environment. There are mainly three things are required to install setup, environment setup. First thing is what? Node.js. Node.js installation is required. Second thing is TypeScript compiler. We need to install TypeScript compiler. And the third thing is VS Code editor. These are the main three things which we require to start working with the TypeScript. First thing, Node.js. Why Node.js is required? What is Node.js? In the previous class, I have given some information about Node.js. What is Node.js? Why it is needed? Node.js is a runtime environment, provided a runtime environment where we can run JavaScript, right? Just like a JRE for Java. So if you want to write a Java code and execute a Java code, what we need? We need a JRE, Java Runtime Environment. Similarly, whenever you want to write a JavaScript or TypeScript, if you want to execute them, we need a Node.js environment. It is a runtime environment. So first we need to install Node.js. Then second, okay, we have installed Node.js and we have created TypeScript code or TypeScript program. We need to compile it first. So for that, we need to also install TypeScript compiler. Okay, we need to install TypeScript compiler. What TypeScript compiler will do? What TypeScript compiler will do? It will compile the TypeScript code and convert into JavaScript. Okay, as soon as the TypeScript compiler compile the TS code, then what will happen after compilation? It will convert into JavaScript code. We'll get a .js file. And after that, we need to execute JavaScript file using node command because Node.js is already installed. Now, why we need VS Code editor? VS Code editor is a very popular editor, especially for Microsoft tools. Like if you want to work with the .NET technologies, JavaScript, TypeScript, any Node.js based languages, VS Code editor is the best suitable editor. Just like we have an Eclipse for Java, right? Similarly, VS Code is best suitable editor for Microsoft languages, especially when people working with a .NET or JavaScript, any web-based related client-side scripting or server-side scripting. If you want to do certain things, VS Code editor is a very popular editor, which will provide so many extensions, so many components, very, very user-friendly, and user-friendly UI is also there. So we will discuss that. So VS Code editor is also very important. So as a prerequisite, we need to have these three components: Node.js, TypeScript compiler, VS Code editor. Okay, so how to install Playwright? So that we will see once we start our Playwright. Okay, so by using Node.js itself, we can install Playwright. So first, let us focus only on the TypeScript as a beginner. So then later on, I'll show you how we can install Playwright. Okay, so Node.js will provide the runtime environment to run the JavaScript. TypeScript compiler will compile the TypeScript code into JavaScript. That JavaScript again we can execute using node command. And to write our TypeScript code or JavaScript code, we need VS Code Editor, Visual Studio Code Editor. This is basically an IDE. Okay. So these are the three important things which we need to have to start with TypeScript. So now I'll show you how we can download and how we can install step by step. Just go through it, and later on I will provide each and every steps screenshots, and you can install yourself. So first, let us start with the Node.js, how we can install Node.js. Just go to Google and search for, very simple, download Node.js. Search for Node.js. So you can find official web page, download node.js. Go to the page, and here there are multiple versions are available, depends on operating system. You can say Windows, Mac, Linux. So whichever operating system currently you are working, you can choose that one. Okay. So here mostly we will take nothing official. So by default, let it be there. And here there are multiple versions are there. So most of the times we will take LTS, long time support. So you can just select this one. I'm currently working on Windows. I'm selecting Windows, and FNM, let it be there. And by default, we'll take a NPM package. Node package manager is also we need to get. So select these options, and then directly Windows installer. You can see this. When you select these options, it will generate the commands like this. So using the commands also you can download actually. But if you don't want to use this command, don't select anything here. So we can directly jump into here. So select whichever operating system you have and whichever chipset you have, then click on Windows installer, and just I'm clicking the MSI file. So once you click on this, it will download Node.js software. So once it is downloaded, I already downloaded. Let me show you the file. Simple. And all the softwares are open source, and you need to buy any license. So once you download it, you will get this MSI file, Microsoft installer. Okay, this is the latest version currently I have. So once you get this installer, you need to start installing the Node.js. So this is the first component, Node.js. Okay, so let me start installing Node.js. So once you double click on it, it will start installing the Node.js. So you will see screens like this. Just simply click on next, 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 nothing to change. Say next and accept terms and license agreement, and simply say next. And this is the default location of your Node.js. Okay, just copy this path somewhere, because later on we need to set up the path. So by default, C:, program files, Node.js. So this is a location, default location. If you want to change, you can change it. Simply say next, and you can look at this. So there are multiple components are provided by Node.js. Like we have NPM package manager is also there, which is also important. Okay, so these are 3, 4, 5 components. So we don't need to do anything here. Simply go back and next, click on next, and select this checkbox. Automatically install necessary tools. Simply select this and say next, and click on install. So once we have done it, it will start installing the Node.js in few seconds. It is very simple and straightforward. Just download the installer and start installing Node.js. Okay, so I will also provide the screenshot. So I have already done it. So once you get an installer, so go to each and every screen step by step, and this will go and install Node.js. So finally, you will get this screen. Yeah, so now successfully installed. So once it is installed, simply say finish. Okay, so once you finish your Node.js, so we need to check whether the Node.js properly installed or not. Okay, so how we can verify that? So to verify Node.js is properly installed or not, what we need to do is we need to just go to the command prompt or a terminal. So command prompt or terminal. So in the command prompt, simply type one single command called node-v. Okay, so when you type this command, it will show you the version of your Node.js. And another command is also there. Simply you can say node --- version. So this will also gives you a default version whichever you have installed. Okay. Suppose if you are not getting this version, for example, if it is a Windows says node is not able to identify the command or internal external command, something like this. But recently it is got fixed. But if you are using Windows 10 or some older versions, then what you need to do is you need to set up the path. Okay, path. So how we can set up the path? Even if it's Java also, we need to do the same thing. So first we need to go to the installation location. So where we have installed the Node.js by default under C drive program files. So here you can see a folder called Node.js. Okay, now go to this folder, and this is actually the location where Node.js is got installed. What we need to do here, we need to just copy this location. This is Node.js home path. Okay, copy this and go to the or you can just go to environment variables. So just say right click on PC and here go to properties. So once you go to properties here, go to advanced system settings, and this is optional. Actually in the latest versions you don't need this. Advanced system settings, environment variables, go to path variable, select the path variable under system variables, click on edit. Now just observe, do you have Node.js path here? Automatically it is added. You can see these are the two paths by default it is added. So this is actually program files Node.js. If you do not see these options entries, then what you need to do, you need to click on the new and just add that path. Okay, so this is the one thing. So if you already added path, you don't need this, you can simply delete. So this is one path you need to add. Another path is go to node modules and just provide this one also. Copy this path and then click on the new and just add this entry. So these two entries must be there. Okay, so if you already have these two entries, simply delete this. So by default you will get these two once you have installed Node.js, but safe side you can just check them, okay, whether these entries are there or not. If not there, just add them. Okay, so that's it. So Node.js we successfully installed, and also we verified the version of Node.js. This is the first component which we need to install, Node.js, which will provide a runtime environment for JavaScript. Now the second thing is TypeScript compiler we need to install. TypeScript compiler. So what is the use of TypeScript compiler? We can write our TypeScript code and we can compile it. So once it is compiled, which will generate JavaScript code. So TypeScript compiler we need to install. So how to install TypeScript compiler? So to install TypeScript compiler, we need Node.js we already installed. So when I install Node.js, by default, you will get some other component called npm, Node Package Manager. So when I install Node.js, by default, you will get so npm package. So npm is nothing but what? Node Package Manager. So what is the use of this Node Package Manager? So by using this npm, we can install any software which will run on Node.js. For example, if you want to get TypeScript compiler, so how we will get this TypeScript compiler, how to install using npm itself. Similarly, any other component like JSON or JavaScript or any other Node.js based softwares, if you want to install them, we need Node Package Manager. So by default, we will get npm along with Node.js. So how we will verify that? Simply go to the command prompt. How we verified Node.js? Same way, just type npm -v. So this will also give you the version, npm version, which will come along with Node.js. Okay, this is important component. If you have this npm, then only we will able to install other things. Okay, so once you install Node.js, by default, you will get npm. Now, by using this npm, we will able to install TypeScript compiler. Now we'll see how we can install TypeScript compiler. So to install TypeScript compiler, we have a certain command called npm install -g TypeScript. So this is a command. So to install TypeScript compiler, the second component, the command is what? npm install -g TypeScript. So once you install this command, once you execute this command, it will able to install TypeScript compiler. So let me enter this. So once you have installed, now we can see added one package. So TypeScript compiler is also ready. Node.js is ready. TypeScript compiler is ready. Then what we need? TS code editor is required. So let us install VS Code. So first one, Node.js and VS Code editor. These are UI tools actually. So we need to download the installer, then we have to install. TypeScript is not a UI tool. It is just a command based tool, CLI based command. So we need to just provide this command, which will get the TypeScript compiler. Done. Now let us see how we can install VS Code editor, and first we'll download and then we'll install. So to download VS Code editor, again go to Google and then search for download VS Code editor. For Mac users also, you need to do the same process, no change. So download Visual Studio Code editor. So just go to this website, VS Studio Code. And here you can find 3 different flavors of VS Code, Windows, and this is for Linux and this is for Mac users. So currently we are in Windows, so just directly clicking on this. So you can see Windows 10, 11 is there. So you can see this system installer, zip file, CLI, multiple things here. So better to go with system installer or user installer, or you can directly click on this also. If I click on this, it will go to another page. And here you can see the downloaded software. So I already downloaded earlier. So I just try to remove this. Okay, simply download the software. It is also freely available. So once you download it, we can start installing VS Code editor. So what we need to do now, we need to just double click on it. So once you double click on it, this will give you the installation window. Simply accept the agreement, say next. Okay, and this is the location where exactly VS Code editor is going to install. If you want to change the location, you can change it or let it be there. Simply say next, and this is a name, alias name, which is given. And if you want to create a shortcut, don't select this checkbox. If you want to, we don't want to create any start menu option, anything. So just leave like this, select this or leave it. Say next, right? So here you can select the, suppose if you want to have some shortcut icon on the desktop, you can simply select this or else leave it. And add open with code. These are optional, so you no need to go with this. And whatever options by default is selected, don't change them. Okay, so let it be there. So add to paths. So let it be there. Everything is same default options. And additionally, I have selected create desktop icon. Next. And again, install. So once you click on install, and then VS Code editor, you start installation. So this is the third component. So how many components we have installed? The first component is Node.js. Second component is TypeScript compiler. The third component is VS Code editor. So these are the 3 components which we required to start with TypeScript. Node.js will provide the runtime environment for JavaScript. TypeScript compiler will convert TypeScript into JavaScript that we can execute using node command. VS Code editor is an IDE where we can write our TypeScript code. Right. So now, so environment setup is ready. Then we will start how to create. We'll see how we can create a simple TypeScript code, how we can compile, then how we can see the result. So we'll see step by step. Very simple. So we have already installed Visual Studio Code. If you want to launch immediately, you can select this checkbox, or else simply say uncheck and say finish. And by default, it will create your desktop shortcut, or else you can search in the search box. You can say Visual Studio Code. It will automatically appear here. Right. So now let me launch VS Code editor. So all prerequisites are satisfied. we have installed Node.js, TypeScript compiler, VS Code editor. All three things are ready. This is only for TypeScript, guys. Playwright is not included. Okay, we will see how we can install Playwright later, which is not needed now. We will focus mainly on TypeScript programming at the beginning sessions. All right, so now we'll see how we can launch VS Code editor. So once you install VS Code editor, you can see desktop shortcut like this, and just open this VS Code editor. So once you open, let's see, the first time when you open your VS Code, this is a window. You can see the welcome screen. So let me close this. We don't need it. So this is the first time you can see the editor. And if you want to change the themes, there are different themes are there. You can change the dark theme or default theme or whichever theme you want. You can just go to settings here. Here there is a gear icon, manage. Here you can find the themes, color themes. And here there are different themes are there. So this is Light Visual Studio, a theme I'm using as of now. And if you want to go to dark theme, you can just say dark. Then you can find the dark theme like this. So I like a white theme. So I just put this white theme default. Okay. So this is the first screen you can see in VS Code editor. Now, so how we can create a new project and how we can create a TypeScript file, how we can execute it. We'll see that first. So as soon as you open your VS Code editor, first thing we need to create a new project. So how to create a new project? Just a moment. So I'll try to delete this. Okay. So this is a VS Code editor. So by default, you can see one folder is got created, but by default, you don't see this folder also. So what you need to do is to create a new project. We need to first create a folder. So where you want to create folder, wherever you want, you can create. Simply, I want to save all my TypeScript files in some place, right? So that is called folder. So I'm just go to automation, and here I just want to create a new folder. So I just delete this for now. Okay. So I'm just creating a new folder first. Go to new folder and give some name, any name, some project name. So this is TypeScript project. So I'll say TS demos. Okay, I'm just giving some name here. So once you created this folder, we need to open this folder in the VS Code editor. So again, one more time, I will launch my VS Code. I just closed it. Okay, so once you open VS Code editor, so by default, you don't see this folder. You need to add that folder here. So how to add that folder? Whatever folder we created inside this TS demos, that we need to get inside the VS Code editor. So to get that folder, just go to File, Open Folder, and then browse the folder. Wherever you created, just browse it. Simply say select folder. So once you get it, now you will see the new folder which is got created. So it won't create it actually. We already created before. We just open that folder inside the VS Code editor. Can close this welcome screen. Okay. So this is step number one. So we just created a new folder. Wherever you want, you can just create. And that particular folder, you need to open inside the VS Code editor. This is the folder. Okay. Now, let us start creating a first TypeScript code. So how we can create? Simply inside the folder, if you want, you can create subfolders, and inside the subfolders, you can write a TypeScript code. Okay. Now I'm just going to create one more subfolder inside this folder. So to do this, you can say, select the new folder one more time. It will create a subfolder under TS demos. So today is day one. So I can say day one. Every day I'll create a new folder. So day one is a subfolder. So inside this, I want to create a new TypeScript file. So to create a TypeScript file, simply right click on this folder, new file, and just give some name. Let's say this is my first program. I say first demo.ts. So what is an extension of the TypeScript code? .ts. So just give .ts. first demo.ts. Enter. Now we can see an editor. So this is an editor where we can write our TypeScript code. Okay, so simply I'll write a simple code. Just say I want to print a simple welcome message. So normally in Java, we have a system.out.println. In Python, we have a simply print. Similarly, in TypeScript and JavaScript, we have a simple command called console.log. Console.log. Okay. So here, whatever the message you type, it will just print as an output. So here in double quotes, I'm just printing welcome to TypeScript. A simple statement. Okay. Sometimes the code will be very smaller like this. And if you want to just increase the font and window sizes and everything, you can simply press Control Shift plus, Control plus or Control plus or Control minus. And if you are Mac user, then Command plus, Command minus. You can increase and decrease the font. Okay. So this is a simple command we can write. So what is an extension of the file? First demo.ts. So as soon as you write this particular code, what is the next thing we do? We have to compile by using TypeScript compiler. So we have already installed TypeScript compiler. So by using that TypeScript compiler, we need to run this code, TypeScript code. So how we can run it? To run the TypeScript or JavaScript code, we don't have direct run option. What we can do is, later I'll show you run options, but at the beginning stage, we will try to understand few commands. Everything we do through command prompt. So to run this TS file or TypeScript file, we need to open the terminal. So here you can see the menu. So you can just click on this terminal, a new terminal. This will open the terminal in the bottom window like this. So currently which is the location we have is C automation TS demo. So this is a current location where we are doing or we are creating the TypeScript file. So this is the default location it will show you. So to run this TypeScript file, what we need to do, we cannot directly run the TypeScript. We can run it, but we have other approach I'll show you. But initially, first we will compile the TypeScript. After compilation, what will happen? We will get a JavaScript file. So once you get a JavaScript file, then we will able to execute the JavaScript file. So let me show you. So to compile this TypeScript code, we have a command called TSE. TSE is a command for compiling the TypeScript code. So the name itself is a TypeScript. C means compiler. TSE, TypeScript compiler, TSE. Give the name space and provide the path where we created. If you create a first demo directly in the TS demos, then you can directly create like this, first demo.ts. You can directly give it like this. But we created this file inside the subfolder day one. So we need to provide that also. So day one slash, sorry. So here day one slash first demo.ts. Okay. So if you do not have subfolder, you can directly specify the file name. So first demo.ts. So what is TSE will do? TSE will compile TypeScript code. After that, it will generate JavaScript file. So now I'm compiling the code, simple one single line. And one more important thing. As soon as you write something, by default, it will not save. You need to go to the file and then you need to save it. Okay. So suppose every time whenever you write something, for example, I'm writing one more line. Is it saved or not? It is not saved. Again, you need to go to the file and then save it. Again, I have written another line. Is it saved or not? Not. Again, go to the file, again save it. So every time, whenever you add a new statement, every time if you want to save, it is a difficult thing. So what we can do, we can enable auto save. Auto save, what it will do, whenever you write something, automatically it will be saved. We don't need to go file and save every time. So how we can enable this? Go to the file and here you can see auto save. By default, it is not enabled actually. By default, it will be like this. So once you enable, then automatically all the statements will be saved. Okay, that is called auto save feature. For example, let's say I just disable this. After disable this, Okay, let me save the first line. Now observe, I'm writing another line. See, as soon as you have written another line, is it saved or not? Is it saved or not? It is not saved. How we can identify, how we will know whether it's saved or not? You can see small circle here, black color circle dot. So when you see this option here in the tab, that means there is unsaved code is exist in your file. Okay, this dot is representing unsaved. Some content is unsaved in this particular file. So we need to go to the file again, save it. Now it is disappear. Okay, suppose if you enable autosave, then you no need to see that option. So as soon as you added multiple lines, so still keep on auto saving. Okay, this is very important feature. Remember this. All right. So now I have written simple statement. Now I want to compile the TypeScript code. How we can compile? Simply say folder name, file name .ts. So once you executed this command, observe carefully. It is executed. .ts is executed. Okay. Sometimes when I execute this TS file, when you compile this TS file, you may get some security kind of an error. Most of the times, 90% you people get some error here, security related error. So what type of error it is, I'll show you, and I'll also give the solution how we can solve that error. So when you run this TS command, okay, so here it is. Yeah. So look at this. Let me maximize this. Okay, so when you run this TSC command, you can see this error cannot be loaded because running script is disabled on the system. You will see this error TSC, it will give you the complete file, cannot be loaded because running script is disabled on the system. You will see this kind of an error most of the time. First time you will see this. If you're not able to see, that's not a problem. If you're able to see this, what you need to do, you need to execute this command one time. Set -execution policy -scope current user space -execution policy remote signed. So when you execute this command on the same command prompt here itself, then that error will be disappear. So next time you can run tsc command happily. So as soon as you run this tsc command, compile your TypeScript, it is created .js file. You can see first demo.js. So whatever the code we have written in TS file, same thing is there in JavaScript also. Right? So what compiler does? TSC compiler, TypeScript compiler, convert TypeScript into JavaScript file. Then once it is created JavaScript file, what we need to do? We need to run the JavaScript file. Then we will get an output. It is just compiled your TypeScript. We are not getting any output till now. We just compiled. So once it is compiled, it is generated JavaScript. So how we can execute this JavaScript now? Using node command. Node, again, give the same thing. Instead of TSC, just say node. By using this node command, we can execute JavaScript code. Here, what is an extension we have to give? JS. Okay. When I execute, so this will execute the code. So now we can see this is an output of this particular code. This is a process. So once you created your TypeScript file, we will compile it by using TSC. After that, it will generate a JavaScript file. And after that, we can execute JavaScript file using node command. Okay, it seems a lengthy process, right? Why we need to compile and why it again generating JavaScript. Again, we have to run the JavaScript. This is a lengthy process. So normally what you will do is, instead of compiling this TypeScript, we can directly execute the TypeScript. So there is a process. So now let me show you the process. Before that, so everything is clear so far, everyone. So how we can set up an environment, how we can create a new project in VS Code, and how to create a TypeScript file. All the steps are clear. I will provide each and everything in the documentation so you guys can go through and you can understand. It's very clear document I will provide you. So far, whatever is discussed, everything is documented. So these are the steps we have done so far. So VS Code editor, install Node.js, and then we have installed TypeScript compiler also we have installed. Even if you want to verify the TypeScript compiler version, you can execute this command tsc --- version. And then VS Code editor also we have installed. So after this part, we have executed. So what we have done here is we just created new project folder in VS Code editor. And after that, we open that folder in the VS Code editor. And then simply we have created simple file, first program.ts, and we have enter simple line. And then we open the terminal. So to open the terminal, the shortcut key is Control plus backlit. This is a shortcut for open the terminal in the VS Code. This is a terminal. Or else you can directly go to terminal and new terminal. It will open the terminal like this. And in the terminal, what we have done? So we have executed this command. First, we compiled TypeScript. After that, it generated JavaScript file. And then we have executed JavaScript file using node command. Okay. So till now, we have completed. So now, every time, suppose I don't want to generate the JavaScript file every time. Simply, I just want to directly run the TypeScript file. Okay. So then what we need to do is, simply what we can do is we have to install TypeScript executor. Okay. So we have just installed only TypeScript compiler earlier. So now additionally, we need to install something called TypeScript executor. This is additional package which we required to run the TypeScript file directly without compiling. Again, if you compile TypeScript code, we'll generate the JavaScript file. And to run the JavaScript file, again, we have to run node command. So to avoid all this process, just install TypeScript executor. And by using it, we can run the TypeScript file directly. Then JavaScript file will not come into picture. So let us see how we can install TypeScript executor. So to install TypeScript executor, I have given the step here, simple command. So to install compiler, what we have done, npm install -g TypeScript. So this will install the TypeScript compiler. But to install TypeScript executor, npm install -g tsx. Instead of TypeScript, we simply say tsx. So this is the command we have to install through command prompt. So you can run the command directly in VS Code terminal, or you can open another external terminal. There you can run the command. Sorry. Open the command prompt, and in the command prompt, simply execute this command. How we have executed, how we have installed TypeScript compiler through command prompt, same thing, we need to follow this. npm comes from Node.js. Okay, npm install -g tsx. tsx is nothing but TypeScript executor. So once we install this component, then we no need to compile TypeScript. So we can directly execute TypeScript code. So you can see added 5 packages in 3 seconds. 2 packages are looking for funding. Run npm fund for details. So you can simply ignore this. Okay. So added 5 packages in 3 seconds. So successfully added. Now you can close this. Come back to your VS Code editor. So now earlier what we have done, we have compiled this TS code, then generated JavaScript code. Then again, JavaScript code is executed using node command. Now let us try to avoid the process. So what I'll do is I will try to delete the file, first demo.js. Right, I have only TS file. So now I want to execute this file directly without compilation. Without compilation. So how we can simply do it? Say tsx. tsx is nothing but TypeScript executor space, just provide the file name, first demo.ts. And also we need to provide where exactly the file is located inside the day1 folder. So I can say day1/. So TypeScript executor. So this won't create any JavaScript file. It will directly execute TypeScript code. So let me run this command. Perfect. Now you can see directly it is provided output. Okay, this is the way we normally approach. Okay, this is the way we need to normally follow when you're writing a TypeScript code. Okay, that is a lengthy process. First, we need to convert into JavaScript. Again, run the JavaScript using node command. That is a lengthy process. So we can completely avoid JavaScript. We can directly create a TSX file and execute this command TSX using TSX executor command. Then this command will directly execute your TypeScript file. So this is how we need to simply create TypeScript files and we can execute using TypeScript executor. Okay, so all the steps are clearly documented. So I will share this document today itself. Go through this. So first component here, from here, setting up TypeScript. First component Node.js installation and given the steps. And TypeScript compiler you need to install, again given the steps. And then as a third step, I have given this executor command. So install TSX, which will run the TypeScript directly without compilation. Then install VS Code. So Node.js for what? Runs the TypeScript. It will provide the runtime environment. TSC, TypeScript compile is for what? Converting TypeScript file into JS file. VS Code is an editor where we can write a TypeScript. TSX is a command through which we can run the TypeScript without compiling. So if you are using this TSX, then this is optional. We don't need to go with this approach. But installation we have to do. Compiler we have to install. But we can skip this part. By directly using TSX, we can execute TypeScript code. I have given each and every steps detailed. You can go through this. So as a first step, I created a new file and compile the TypeScript JavaScript, compile TypeScript into JavaScript by using TSC command. It is generated JS file. Then again executed JS file using node command. This is a lengthy process. But to run the TypeScript without compiling, you can directly use this command TSX and then file name. Okay. So this is all about environment setup. So get this environment ready today. And also given all the screenshots step by steps. So install all three: Node.js, TypeScript compiler, VS Code editor, and TypeScript executor also. As a fourth step I given. Actually, you can install this immediately after executing the TypeScript compiler. I provide this step here. So once we have done this, we can proceed further. Okay. So from tomorrow, we will see the programming concepts. We'll start with some basic programming concepts like how we can work with the variables, the data types, operators, arrays, strings. So normally every programming is having these concepts. So in the TypeScript perspective, we will try to understand those concepts in detail. Okay. So I'll stop here for today's session and get ready with this environment ready and try to create a simple code like this and try to execute and see whether you're able to get everything properly or not. And once you get ready with this from tomorrow, we will continue with the rest of the topics. All right. So we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow's session.